Hello, people. I wish you well, and I am here to talk to you a little bit about a plant that is growing in such abundance in our area and is a tremendous support for our immunity and our respiratory health. And so I wanted to show you the plant and go into a little bit of detail about it. So I am here beside it, and the plant is garlic mustard. Hello, garlic mustard. And you can see that it grows in these big mats all along the ground. It grows in great abundance. And it is actually considered to be an invasive plant, and so you'll find it on forest floors, you'll find it tree lines, you'll find it sometimes in lawns and in more open areas. I'm in one part of the field here at our place, and it's growing here. It likes part shade, but it's actually not that picky, and it spreads really, really easily. So garlic mustard is in the mustard family. It's also known as the cruciferous family, the cabbage family. And so all plants in that family, things like kale, cabbage, arugula, a lot of your Chinese greens, mizuna, bok choy, they're all related, and they are all really great sources of vitamin C. And garlic mustard is a tremendous, tremendous source of vitamin C. It would have a much higher, let's say, like 3 or 4 times as much vitamin C in what was the statistic I heard? About 100 grams of garlic mustard. About 4 times more vitamin C than what you would get in an orange. So bringing mustard family plants into your diet, and particularly garlic mustard, is a really good idea to boost your vitamin C. In the studies around the particular virus that everybody's concerned about these days, vitamin C is shown to be of particular importance, not only because it boosts your immunity, which is key, but it also supports the health of your blood vessels and your collagen in your tissues, which tend to get damaged by this virus, creating a lot of opportunity for sort of leakage and opportunity for microbes to get in and cause disruption and cause sort of flooding, inflammation, inability for proper flow of blood, of fluids, of lymph to clear out, and also ultimately of oxygen to move through. So vitamin C is really, really key to strengthen and support all your tissues and support healthy circulation, healthy clearance of blood, and ultimately of lymph, to keep your system strong. And also, all of the plants in the cabbage family tend to have these sulfur compounds. And so the sulfur compounds are they are known as glucosinolate compounds, and they give the plants in this family that sulfury kind of smell, like when you're cooking broccoli, which is also in that family, or cabbage, you'll smell sometimes a sulfury thing. So these compounds are important immune boosters as well, and they're very warming to the body, and they tend to increase your metabolism a little bit, which with the heat and the increase in metabolism allows your immune cells to flow more quickly to areas of need. So that's another really important piece as well. Now, garlic mustard, you can identify it by, first of all, you can see the shape of the leaves. They are kind of heart-shaped, and they have these really prominent looking veins on them. And you can see the veins on the underside as well. They're sticking out. This time of year, the stalks are a little bit sort of reddish and a little bit hairy, slightly hairy stalks. Don't know if you can see that. And then they grow in these tufts, so that they've got these long-ish white tap roots, and like here's a tuft, here's another tuft, Here's another tuft. So there's a bunch of leaves coming out from these long, sort of hairy stalks from one taproot to create one tuft, two tuft, three tuft, one tuft, two tuft, three tuft, around like that. The roots of the plant are also edible if you wanted to pull them out. They're a little bit like radishes. Now, here I am right beside the garlic mustard on the ground. You also can tell garlic mustard because if you pick a leaf, thank you, and you crush it up and you smell it, crush it up pretty good so that the juice of the plant really comes out on your fingers, you'll get a bit of a garlicky smell. If you get a bit of a garlicky smell or a bit of that sulfury kind of smell, taste the leaf. It's a little bit slightly bitter, also garlicky, also a little bit spicy, like mustard, like mustardy, because it's mustard. Later in the season, this plant will get bigger leaves, and then it'll get a tall stalk that will produce white flowers that have 4 petals on them, pretty small white flowers. And that's the later stage just before it goes to seed, and then it'll produce these seed pods that will spread everywhere. So even when the plant goes to flower, it is harvestable and edible, root all the way through up to like through the leaves and up to the flowers and even the seeds. Of course, the seeds, if you wanted to, you could make like a mustard out of them, because mustard is made from mustard seeds, and this is a mustard seed. By doing that, you prevent the seeds from spreading, which is helpful. And just by harvesting the plant, you're actually helping out ecosystems which are a little bit threatened by this plant, which is considered to be invasive. It tends to put out compounds in the soil that are what we call allelopathic. They make it harder for other plants around to survive, and so it gives it an advantage, and it kind of takes over certain ecosystems for a certain period of time, but like quite a few years. And so people are concerned about the health of native plants around the garlic mustard, which are threatened when it moves in. So I am encouraging the harvest of this not only because it is incredibly nutritious and really, really supportive of immune health. It also has a real affinity for the respiratory tract, and traditionally this herb, which comes from, it's native to different parts of Europe. I believe the one we have comes from England, that it was brought here to be an immune support, and it has been, and also because it's edible, so it's like both an immune and an edible plant. It has traditionally been preserved in vinegar or preserved in wine for that purpose. And you can do the same thing. You can take the roots, the leaves, the whole thing, chop it up, put it into vinegar. You can let it steep for about 3 weeks, let's say. And then use that vinegar, either take 1 to 3 teaspoons of it per day, or add it to your salad dressings as your vinegar. That's a really great way to get a good dose of it. And I recommend, if you do that, that you use apple cider vinegar, and preferably raw apple cider vinegar, because that's going to be the most nutritious and alkalinizing to your body. And it itself will have some immune supportive properties. I also recommend that you can use this as a food. So you can either just eat it raw, like you saw me doing earlier, or you can also, you can chop it up a little bit and mix it with some oil and maybe a little bit of lemon juice or vinegar, cider vinegar again, and blend it into a pesto, and it makes a pretty nice, slightly bitter pesto, but also like garlicky, delicious green pesto. The bitterness is really supportive of your digestion and your ability to absorb nutrients. So actually, the bitter flavor is really supportive as well. And then you can also use it as a cooked green, just like any kind of green, like spinach. Throw it into your stir fries or your lasagna or whatever you're making. Take handfuls and add them to your soup just before you eat it. Any of these ways, just treat it like a green. So I recommend you get out and look for garlic mustard It is around. It's just coming up here, and it is doing well because the weather is still cool, and it thrives in cool temperatures. So check it out and see what you think. And I recommend adding it to your diet regularly in the season that it's available. One word of caution I would give, I think this is quite safe for pretty much everybody. However, if you tend to have a low thyroid, I would suggest cooking this green rather than eating too much of it raw, because any of the herbs in the cabbage family, when they're eaten raw, they can tend to lower thyroid. If your thyroid's healthy, I wouldn't worry about it. But just for people who tend to have a lowered thyroid, have some concerns around that, I would bring it in as a cooked green. So that's garlic mustard. I'm Tamara. I wish you good health and peace and wellness, and I wish that for all of the earth as well. Blessings.